Welcome back to BCB Live, we're the safest station in the nation. As always, we have the wonderful Drive Safe Dave. Drive Safe, that cone is getting brighter, I'm telling you right now.
You know what, it's not just getting brighter, you're just now recognizing it for the first time in safety.
What is wrong with you? And we're joined with Sharon Siar. Sharon, how are you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for
Good.
having me.
You know what? We're blessed to have you here today. And Sharon, you are the president of Saving Our Sisters, LLC. Talk to us a little bit. What is Saving Our Sisters?
Saving Our Sisters was started about a year and a half ago to mentor and coach women who want to become leaders in the logistics industry.
I like that.
How did you get started? Let's start there. How did you get started?
Okay, I've been in the transportation industry since 1986, back when women were just barely starting in the industry. And so over the years, I didn't have a mentor because there were no women to mentor you. And so I've learned the hard way. I've made a lot of mistakes. So over the years, I've held different positions in logistics and sales, operations, teaching, and HR. So I've decided now, I retired about a year and a half ago and decided it was time to give back and to start helping these women, these younger women.
You know, we have heard so much about mentoring today, especially throughout, even yesterday at Women in Trucking Conference. That's where we are right now. We're at the Anatole here in Dallas, Women in Trucking 2022, over 1,700 people here.
Yeah.
Phenomenal attendance on that. But we have heard and from everybody about mentorship and how important that is for us, you know, for men and women to step out and become mentors, because that's what it takes. First of all, you got to have somebody willing to share that story with somebody.
It is, because even though we've got more women in the industry now, it's still a male-dominated industry. And so women have got to learn how to use their voices and to push back a little bit and get rid of that negative attitude that women are dramatic. A lot of times they don't get promoted.
Dave's pretty dramatic.
I'm very dramatic.
Yeah. So they cause there's times when men don't want to hire women because they're emotional, they cry. So we've got to stop that. We've got to change women's attitudes on how they work in the workplace.
You know, and we talk about mentorship. I think really, to me, a mentorship is a one-on-one teacher, right? Is a one-on-one person that you communicate with and you develop a great relationship. Here we are moving forward, and we have a lot of exiting people in the industry, right?
Yes.
A lot of exiting drivers and stuff. It's important that they share those experiences that they've developed over the years, right, to the new up and coming.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's very important because you don't want to go back to the way it used to be. And if we don't share our experiences and help them overcome the obstacles that we went through, it's only going to get better for everybody. It's going to be better for the companies that hire women and men, because I actually mentor men as well as women. And it's a win-win situation for everybody.
Yeah, we've got to make our industry better than it was for us. And because the fact that we had to learn and train ourselves doesn't mean that they have to do that, right?
Exactly.
Because, well, that's how I learned. You just got in there and just went in and just did it. Started dispatching. Nope, you just figured it out. And we feel like sometimes we feel like that's what they need to go through because we went through that.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that's not the way it is.
And I see it just drives me crazy because there's a freight brokerage network on Facebook. I try to stay off of it because it makes me so angry. But you'll have these people that get on there and go, okay, I've decided to become a freight broker. What do I do? And I go, seriously? That's where you're going to start? And I try to get on there. I've tried to get on there and explain what they do need to do in order to be a successful freight broker. And they just attack me because that's not what they wanted to do.
Yeah, exactly, right?
So,
and there's no doubt.
You know, as you sit here and you talk about it, you have life coach, right? You have a person that can help you, guide you through some of theirs. It's not all about, you're still going to make mistakes in life.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that, right? But also, there's also a moment with like, okay, now that you've made that mistake, what did you really learn from it?
Exactly.
And where are you going to go with it? I think we forget that it's important also to be in a supportive role, not necessarily always going, okay, don't make that mistake.
No.
Sometimes you have to say, well, hey, we all make that mistake that you just made, but what did you learn from it? How are you going to grow from it?
So my business, it's kind of grown organically. I listen. I let them talk. I want to hear what they're going through. And then after they've made a mistake, I said, well, how do you think you could have done it differently? So it's more about them working through, helping them work through it as well, because they have to use their, how they think. They've got to learn those skills. Because a lot of times just somebody telling you is not gonna, they've got to figure it out themselves to some degree. And now if they're really making a mistake, you got to point out what they're doing wrong. But
we're here at the Women in Trucking Conference, and we're walking around and we're talking to everybody, and I'm telling you, I think the day of saying male-dominated industry is almost going to be gone.
I hope so.
Because here, you don't get that sense anywhere in the room at all, do you, Rick? And I'm telling you, and the people here are the new leaders. I mean, there's no doubt some of the individuals that we talked to today, they are going to be in the next 5, 10. They're going to be the people that we go to.
Dave, let's go some facts here. So aside from what we do here, we run a trucking company as well. Dave, best dispatchers. We have 10 of them. Top 2, male or female? Female. When it comes to anything being correct in the system, I always say this, and I'll say, if a dude touched it, it's wrong. The attention to detail that we have as men, it's horrific. We're like, oh, you can pick it up whenever, deliver it whenever. Well, that doesn't even make any sense. You got to pick it up next year? Where are the specifics at? We love it, and we do. I mean, we see the value of women in this industry because, I don't know, what was the fear, I guess, right? Because at some point, and I'm not talking the driver's side right now, I'm talking inside that. And by the way, if you're wondering, there are lots of jobs out there aside from not just driving, there's other jobs out there in logistics, freight brokers, right, out there. But I mean, was there a fear? What was the fear? There had to have been one, I guess.
I think because women didn't get into the industry. I mean, that wasn't.
That's probably right.
You're probably right.
Because, I mean, I don't know anyone my age that grew up thinking, I think I'm going to get into the transportation industry.
You're right.
I will tell you, that's a great point.
And I will tell you that originally, truck driving, when it first got, there wasn't power steering, and there wasn't power brakes, and you moved a lot of the freight yourself. You unloaded it, and it was kind of a physical demanding. I mean, you pulled that steering wheel, that hand over hand, the old ones without power. You developed some of the biggest arms in the planet because it was a hard work. And then somewhere along the way, somebody said, well, they were a great driver. They got to obviously be a great dispatcher.
It doesn't automatically work.
It doesn't automatically
work like that. Hey, what are some other tools that you're giving, aside from mentorship, what are some other tools that Saving Our Sisters is providing?
So I do some consulting work.
Okay.
Right now I've got a couple of companies that I'm working with to put together a plan to grow their businesses, because I have been in sales, I've been in management. I'm working with recruiters, I'm working with small trucking companies, helping some people open up a freight brokerage.
Got it.
So I do those things as well.
Do you find, what are some of the challenges that you, obviously when you mentor some of the younger women or men or whatever, but the women, because that's what we're here focusing on here this week. What are some of the genuine challenges you're hearing right now that you wouldn't have heard 5 years ago?
I was sitting at lunch with a group of women yesterday, leaders, and they were telling me that some of their challenges are still, and I think this has been around for forever, is when they tell their direct report something, if they say it in a certain way, they're bitchy. But if the male counterpart says it,
Oh, I knew that was coming. I knew it. I know what you're talking about.
But it's true.
It is true. as
and
a
it's
dad,
hard to overcome.
it is. It's hard. A dad of 3 daughters. Let me tell you something. I know what you're talking about because when the woman says it, you're right. They're like bitchy, and with the guy, man, he's stern. Boy, he's a tough manager. And it's like, what? What? I mean, what? I mean, no. I mean, she's the same way.
Yeah.
You know, but yet we see that. That's what we see. We hear those things, not as much as we used to.
Right.
But
I
it's
agree
still
with
out
that.
there, Dave.
It is still out there. But I think, fortunately, I think what we're seeing and like what we're seeing here, we're having to see a new way to do it. I think we've changed. We went through COVID, and I think we've come out of it on a better end in the industry because we've had to adapt. And we were, for a short time, we were heroes. Mm-hmm. You know, we were great people, and I think we're starting to see a little bit better of ourselves. When you're always touted as the bad guy, it's hard to be the good guy in your own heart. But when you're also a hero, you're starting to see the better side of you too. That what you are capable of. I mean, it's to me, you got to be put there and you got to be looked at in that way. But how are you telling the women to make sure that they've got to be? And this is the hard part. The better of the better person.
So this is what I tell men.
Okay.
Okay. You need women at the conference table. You need them in the C-suite because, believe it or not, women and men are different. We hear things differently.
You do.
We say things differently.
No, 100%.
So when we're in a room, in a meeting, I will come out and I will hear something totally different than my male counterpart. If we talk together and we bring what we've heard together, we can make better decisions. It's not that women should be beneath you or you don't think we're smart enough. We are, we're just different. And you should use those skills because it will help grow your company. And it's been proven over the years that is the truth.
Yeah.
So that's when I say I mentor men on how to deal with women.
And then when you tell women about men, what
do I tell them? I tell them to use their voice because for so many years, women, they don't know what to say. They're afraid they're going to lose their job. They're afraid if they say too much or if they're too emotional, then they're going to be looked down on. They won't get that promotion. So women have to learn how to speak up in the right way. And that is a skill in its own. You do have to learn that as women, not emotionally, but professionally. And so that's what we work on.
You know, and in our industry, and again, Dave, I mean, let's just talk because that's what we're doing. In our industry, and I'm going to go on this, and we've been saying this all day, is that we must make changes to our industry, one company at a time, a group of companies at a time. We've got to make changes to get the best people into our industry. It's just what we have to do. So many companies today, and it is what it is that the men running those companies, Dave, and Sharon, I'm going to say this, is that there's like a guy law. I mean, there's the guy rule. I can't tell. I mean, I can't say that. I mean, what am I going to tell? There's an unwritten rule that says guys can't tell on guys, and women don't work that way, right? And all of a sudden they do that, and the guy's like, man, she went around my back. I'm like, I wish he would too. But the guys are this weird rule that like we have to, even though you're making the same mistake over and over again, well, I can't tell them because it's an unwritten rule.
Well, for an example, I was working for this company and I was a director over a certain department. I had 29 direct reports. The president of the company came to me and said, I want you to mentor this person, and he was a male, because I want to promote him to this position, which I was totally qualified for. And, and I said, that's an insult. And he goes, what are you talking about? I just asked you to do this. This is an honor. I said, no, it's not an honor. I said, you're telling me I'm not qualified to do the position you want me to mentor somebody to do. And he looked at me like I was crazy, but he got it.
Got it.
But I had to speak up. And I could have said, no, okay, I'll do that. Well, I decided, no, it's time to speak up. He needs to understand.
Yes. I was afraid you're going to say, and Saving Our Sisters was formed the next day.
No. No. But those are the types of things that women have to overcome. and speak up.
This is all about growing and being positive, right? This is all about encouragement and development and being honest. Sometimes sometimes you got to be honest.
Yes.
Sometimes you got to say, hey, you know what? That was a
transparent as well, right? Don't be afraid to don't be afraid to talk. I mean, don't be afraid to open up. Don't be afraid to. We say it all the time because one thing that this show, us doing the show, has taught him and I is how to be vulnerable.
Yes.
And we guys are so bad at being vulnerable, but we can't. We have to learn how to be vulnerable. It's okay. It is. It's okay to not know the answer and to go to somebody else and take somebody else's idea. And it may be better than yours, and it's okay. It just is.
Yeah, you can't be sensitive. You've just got to talk it out and come up with the best solutions. And I think women are finally getting to that place. And I think we're changing because we're bringing up our daughters differently, than we used to.
I think so too.
And I think that's
we're empowering them more.
We are.
Yes.
And I had 3 sons, and now I have 5 granddaughters.
Sometimes too much because
Exactly. My granddaughters do not. I mean, they speak up.
Let's be honest. The whole culture shift has changed. And I believe it or not, you can watch TV shows and programs, and you can look. There are women heroes. There are women. The strength of character is the woman in the story. Wonder Woman or whatever the story is. They're becoming the true heroes, the ones to look up to. And I think it has to be that way in order for our culture to understand a change. And I know the next generations are coming in, and you know what? They're coming in and they're, oh yes, and I'm looking at, is that my daughter? And she's standing up to dad, and I'm,
Yeah, well, the industry has evolved. I remember when I first got in, when you were in sales, and women couldn't do this, but the men went to strip clubs to get, get business.
Get business.
There used to be
No.
What?
No, what? I've never, no. And
and so I've always taught women they have to be professional.
Yes.
You can't go out there and try to sell and get it, be flirty. And they do. That just goes. But I remember there used to be a broker in Dallas that she had beautiful women working for her. She just told them to go out there and do whatever it took to get the business. And I had a customer call me one day, and he to give me some business, and he said, "Oh, I had lunch with your competitor yesterday." And I said, "Which one?" And he told me, and I said, "Where'd you go to lunch?" And he said, "Well, we went to this this lingerie show at this restaurant." And I said, "Really?" I said, "You never asked me to do that." He goes, "Oh, hell no." He said, "I just want to see if she did."
Oh, man.
Well, that's crazy.
So there's, things like that. So I feel like I can be a good mentor because I've been through all of those things. And lived through them.
Also part of being on that mentor side, and I do have a question for you because we still see it when it comes to travel, right? When it comes to travel with the women within the company, that it's still a little bit hard, right? I mean, when they go travel, and you don't treat them the same way you do men. Men, they can just go off, and then now if you have a salesperson or a CSR that's going to go somewhere, you're like, whoa, okay, hold on a second. Do we have rules? Do we have a policy in place for this? I mean, what are things that companies need to think about when should they just look at it the same way, or do they need to make sure they have rules, regulations, policies, all this in place?
Well, in this day and time, I think you need to have rules and regulations in place.
Yeah.
Because there's too many Me Too moments and stuff too. So women have gotten a voice so you don't want men to be accused of something that didn't happen.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there are women that would take advantage of that.
Yeah.
So I've traveled a lot over the years, but generally I don't travel with anybody. I travel by myself.
Yeah.
The main thing I wanted is that they let me stay in places that were safe, not necessarily the cheapest place, which we would try to do that, but in a good area, and make sure that I had the tools I needed, and stuff like that.
Agree. No, that's yeah. I'm right with you. When I like to travel, I'm not staying. Yeah, no Motel 6 for me. I got to go somewhere else. You know, I know the lights
Doors
are
on
left
the
on.
inside.
Yes. I know. I went to one time where I had to pay in a drawer outside, and I went, I don't think I want to stay here.
Drawer.
Yeah, right.
Are you staying 2 or are you staying all night? Are you staying 2 hours or all night? I just need to know.
Oh my goodness
I thought,
gracious.
oh my gosh.
You know, I'll tell you, as we come around here and as we talk to you and we see, I tell you, I'm pretty excited about all of this as we continue to evolve in the industry, right? And I think this is an evolutionary process.
It is. It is. And the women I have met here and the sessions that I've gone to, it is so encouraging to see these women have such a positive outlook. I am amazed at how many women truck drivers there are that want to be truck drivers. I think that's great.
Oh, and not just truck drivers. I met
And mechanics.
a mechanic. I met a mechanic yesterday, and I was like, you know what? And I am not. I should not be shocked anymore. I'm
No,
not
for
shocked
sure
when
you
I walk
shouldn't.
in a boardroom anymore and I see a woman sitting there.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be shocked when I walk into the garage and see a woman standing there.
I'm going to go. My granddaughter graduated a year early from high school. During COVID, she did everything online, so she just hurried up and just wanted to get out. And but now she doesn't know what she wants to do. She's not ready to go to college. I'm going to go home and talk to her about being a mechanic.
Yeah, I tell you what.
For sure.
And you know what? It's a great trade skill. And
Money's not bad either.
and the money-
Let me tell
oh,
you something.
the money's-
Money's not bad. What is next for Saving Our Sisters?
So what's next is we're going to do more online. We're going to do more podcasts. People are starting now to reach out to me. I'm still working for a freight brokerage. My son opened one up about a year ago, and I work for him, and I do that. And so it gives me the opportunity while I'm growing this business to have an income, because I still need that.
Yeah, funny how that works.
Yeah.
But it allows me to do a lot of things like this where I can speak for free and help people for free. I don't have to
Gotcha.
charge
Yeah.
everyone. When I look to mentor somebody, it's usually me finding that person instead of them finding me. If I see something in somebody that I feel like they could use just a little help because I see something positive in them and see that they could probably be very successful, I go after them.
Got it.
And then I want to say, I'll be your mentor if you want me to be. And then, so I do a lot of free stuff.
Awesome. Love it, love it, love it. I want to thank you for being on BCB
Well, thank you
Live.
for having
Thank
me.
you so much. Before you go, though, and before we sign off, you see that up there? We need you to read that, and you're going to end that with that little slogan in the orange. Go ahead.
Okay. BCB Live interview. My name is Sharon Siar, and I am with Saving Our Sisters, and you're watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
Bam.